Off the coast of southern Africa, the mountains of the Comoros archipelago stand high above the warm waters of the Indian Ocean. These tropical islands are home to some exceptional flora and fauna, over which a golden flower reigns supreme. Its name is Ylang-Ylang, meaning flower of flowers. It has long been established as one of the most precious scents in the perfumer's collection. Its distilled fragrance can be found in more than 300 scents from some of the world's most prestigious perfume houses. It's one of the most frequently used natural materials in luxury perfumery. Yet, this precious tree is struggling to survive in its homeland. The production techniques inherited from a colonial past are outdated and desperately need to be replaced. In this country, ranked as one of the poorest in the world, international perfumers and local NGOs are working together to rebuild this exceptional industry that benefits everyone, from the creators in the north to producers in the south. For botanists, Ylang-Ylang is primarily the name of a tree. Perfectly adapted to hot and humid climates, it grows equally well on coastal plains and the low mountain slopes, up to 300 meters above sea level. Specialists call it Cananga odorata, or the fragrant tree, because of the scent of its flowers when they reach maturity. And it was for these flowers that mankind learned to cultivate it. On the 3 islands of the archipelago, hundreds of artisans distill between 40 to 60 tons of dense and powerful oil every year, mainly destined for the luxury perfume trade. Ali Issouf is the head of Ylang-Ylang, one of the biggest exporters of essential oils in the Comoros. Every day, he collects a few liters of this oil with its unique properties from the distillers.
The oil from the Comoros is prized around the world for its exceptional quality. Ylang-Ylang isn't just grown in the Comoros, it's also grown in Indonesia and Madagascar. But in terms of quality, the oil from the Comoros is best.
I
think it's due to the quality of the soil, and the quality of the air, the climate, and the position of the islands in terms of the sun. All that explains the reputation, the beauty, and the quality of the Ylang-Ylang from the Comoros.
The Union of the Comoros has been independent since 1975 and includes 3 former French colonies, the islands of Grand Comore, Moélie, and Anjouan. Mayotte, the 4th island in the group, is these days the 101st French département. This archipelago between Madagascar and the African coast is the world's biggest producer of Ylang-Ylang. The Comoros supplies more than 90% of the essential oil used by the big perfume companies.
When you have a choice of raw materials, you like, or I do at any rate, powerful essences. Those with character, and you use them for that character.
La grande qualité de l'Ylang, c'est d'avoir cette énergie solaire.
Fascinated by the power of Ylang-Ylang, Thierry Vasser is the latest in a long line of passionate perfume creators. From Aimé Guerlain at the end of the 19th century to Ernest Beau for Chanel in 1921 and Francis Fabron for Nina Ricci in the 1950s, the enthusiasm of perfumers has transformed the fate of the Comoros Islands. During the 20th century, they became the perfume factory for colonial France. And on the island of Anjouan, The ruins of the Bambao distillery today bear witness to this past glory.
The Ylang-Ylang plant comes from Indonesia and was imported here. The colonizers introduced it to the island, just like they did with vanilla. This is the Bambao company. This is where they distilled the Ylang-Ylang, cloves, vanilla, nutmeg, and lemongrass. It was a big company here in the Comoros. A lot of people worked here. It was a little like a state within a state. It employed the majority of the Comoros population, especially here in Anjouan. Everyone worked for Bambao.
The Comoros Bambao Company was created in 1907 and reigned supreme over this huge tropical garden and those who tended to it.
My father was lucky enough to work for the Bambao Company. He started as a simple agent, but by the end, he had a lot of responsibilities. His work at the Bambao Company kept us, his family. Because my father was an employee, we had access to education when we were schooled. I was able to go to a private school thanks to the salary my father earned at Bambao.
When the Comoros became independent in 1975, the big estates were broken up and the colonizers left the islands. With that came the collapse of a production system that had been entirely dominated by French interests. Today, the population is mainly rural, and most people make a living from the land.
Now the local populations have taken back the colonial land. They cut down the Ylang-Ylang trees in order to survive, as one cannot live off Ylang-Ylang. You need other crops. So the Ylang-Ylang trees were replaced with bananas, manioc, coconut palms, and breadfruit. Today the landscape is totally different than what it was during the colonial era.
Over the past 40 years, the Comorians have been gradually moving away from cultivation exclusively for the international market. Quantities have fallen, quality is irregular, and the local people are struggling to feed their families. Here, almost half of the population lives on less than €2 per day. However, Ylang-Ylang is still one of the country's main exports. And boosting production again could really help get the Comoros economy back on its feet. The big perfume companies would also benefit from this renaissance. That's what perfume creator for Guerlain, Thierry Vasser, believes. He is being welcomed by Ali Youssouf in the Comoros for the second time this year. He is one of the rare noses to regularly visit the country to better understand its raw materials and those who produce them.
De façon, on dira paradoxale, cette industrie typiquement française, celle du savoir-faire, des métiers et du luxe, souvent, effectivement, se fournit dans des pays extrêmement pauvres, comme ici aux Comores. Et je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de problèmes de chômage de jeunes aux Comores, que beaucoup perdent la vie en mer pour partir à Mayotte ou je ne sais où. C'est dramatique. Et moi, je viens de dire, vous avez une agriculture qui potentiellement peut devenir quelque chose d'extraordinaire pour la population en général aussi. Et c'est aussi de notre responsabilité de travailler avec les Comores sur une filière pour l'Ylang et d'autres choses.
Until now, Comoros Ylang-Ylang was exclusively about serving the needs of the perfume industry. Today, production is becoming more focused on serving the needs of the local people. For Marie Aziari, head of the Filière Durable Ylang program for sustainable Ylang-Ylang production, that is the only way to effectively modernize an industry under threat.
Ces acteurs du luxe ont des produits qu'ils veulent pouvoir continuer à réaliser pendant un certain nombre d'années. And they are very well aware of the fragility and vulnerability of the raw materials required. So their approach now is no longer about the rich exploiting the poor. That's not where we're at anymore, due to mutual interests.
On ne peut pas se permettre de lâcher une filière parce que économiquement ce n'est pas viable. Il faut avoir une vision à moyen et long terme pour ces approvisionnements et prendre des initiatives de moyen et de long terme.
For most young Comorians, Ylang-Ylang is something from the past. It will take time to convince them that this flower can offer them a future. There are many challenges, and the wounds run deep. From the flower to the vial, every step of the production process needs to be reinvented. On the island of Grand Comore, the biggest of the 3 islands in the Union, the Filière Durable Ylang program is already seeing some impressive results. Marie Aziari and her local teams are currently breathing new life into one of the oldest and biggest establishments on the islands, the Umblo Distillery. 28-year-old Omar Hassan is the estate manager. Together, Marie and Omar have decided to start from the ground up and have set up an ambitious program for training the growers.
On Grand Comore, half of the Ylang-Ylang trees date back to colonial times. Many are dying, others are returning to the wild. But when you look here at the Umblo plantation, there are many trees that are old, but which continue to produce good flowers. That is because we are constantly maintaining them. We maintain them and improve them.
Without human intervention, Kananga odorata, the flower tree, can grow to a height of 30 meters. The top needs to be regularly chopped off to encourage a solid base. Omar Hassan is explaining this process of de-heading to his teams.
De-heading involves removing the branches that grow upwards and encouraging the tree to grow downwards. This makes life easier for the harvesters who don't have to climb up high. It also encourages better flowering, because if the tree doesn't flower at the top, it saves energy, and all its fresh sap is sent downwards, resulting in a lot of flowers. So de-heading is very important.
The Ylang-Ylang tree flourishes on dry and rocky volcanic soil, but it requires some careful attention to ensure abundant flowering. At the end of the rainy season, the trees must be quickly pruned of their branches with the most leaves and clear the paths of weeds to help keep down parasite populations. In the Umblo plantation, around 20 permanent employees rotate around the many plots on the plantation. All of them, whether veterans of the old days or newcomers, have received training that is often lacking in other parts of the archipelago. Thanks to their hard work, these orchards of trees, sometimes more than 50 years old, are enjoying a renaissance. Thierry Vassar greeted this with much enthusiasm during his last trip to Grand Comore. His return today will allow him to see the progress made since Omar took over at the estate.
I've never seen so many flowers. Never so many.
For Marie and Omar, this renowned perfumer's satisfaction is very encouraging. The results obtained here will perhaps allow them to extend the experiment to all the other orchards in the Comoros.
The producers didn't have the skills to prune the trees. It's often quite
C'est
funny
assez
at the
comique
start
souvent au
because
départ
during their
parce que
first
les
training
premières
session,
formations,
the producers
les
get very angry with the
producteurs se
trainers
fâchent parfois
because they think they're destroying their
énormément après les
trees.
formateurs parce qu'ils s'imaginent que leur champ a
And then
été
2 or 3
ravagé.
weeks later,
Et c'est
they're
seulement
flabbergasted
2-3 semaines
and
après
call back the trainers
qu'ils
and ask
sont
them to come back to their
ébahis
fields
et qu'ils
and do
rappellent
more
les
because they've got
formateurs
so
pour
many
qu'ils reviennent dans
flowers.
leur champ et qu'ils en demandent encore
To
plus
give you an
parce
idea of
qu'effectivement
scale,
les fleurs commencent à
2
donner
months
beaucoup.
after the
Pour
first
donner un
training,
ordre de
the
grandeur,
field doubles its
2 mois
production.
après une première formation, le champ a
6
doublé
months
sa
after,
production. 6 mois
it's
après,
quadrupled.
le champ a quadruplé sa
So a
production.
field that was
Donc un champ, par
producing
exemple,
50
qui donnait
kilograms of
50
flowers will
kg de
produce
fleurs,
200
va en donner
kilograms just
200
6 months
6
later.
mois après.
On the Humble plantation in high season, they are now harvesting up to 1 ton of fresh flowers every morning. The flowers are carefully selected from first light before the sun has a chance to evaporate their aromas. They need to be picked when they turn from green to yellow. Their 6 petals lengthen into a star shape around a bright red center. They are picked one by one from the branch and then placed in baskets that allow the air to flow to prevent premature maceration. The baskets recommended by Marie and Omar are woven from coconut leaves to ensure the flowers arrive fresh and aerated at the distillery. For Thierry, the transformation from flower to essence is a critical stage. Perfumers are well aware that the quality of their oil is down to the distiller.
Oh, so things.
Fine, how are you?
Really good. This is great.
I'm happy to see you.
Me too.
In the workshop, the flowers are first weighed. The distiller makes sure he has enough flowers to distill. This is the last time the flower will be in the open air, and the last chance to smell the fragrance before the flowers go into the still.
C'est un grand privilège que de pouvoir la sentir soit sur l'arbre ou fraîchement cueillie comme ça, c'est absolument unique. Hein. Non, je pense qu'à Paris, sur son fauteuil, on n'imagine pas ce que ça peut sentir. C'est intoxicant. Ce camion, c'est la voie royale pour le paradis. C'est génial. Et c'est très puissant, hein. C'est une note qui a beaucoup de caractère. Et c'est ce qu'on cherche aussi dans certaines fleurs, c'est d'avoir un caractère puissant avec une signature très particulière, c'est celle de l'Ylang.
Thierry Vasseur has come all this way to see if the work being carried out at the Humble plantation is resulting in better quality oils. Only by visiting the site can we be sure, because the Ylang-Ylang is distilled at the production site, far from the laboratories in Europe.
En général, les fleurs, donc, toutes quelles qu'elles soient, n'aiment pas voyager, c'est fragile. Il y a un phénomène d'oxydation qui se remarque très vite ici. La fleur brunit en quelques heures, donc il faut la distiller immédiatement, ou plus vite.
But they still need to wait a little to find out the distiller's verdict, because it takes on average 15 hours to distill between 100 to 200 kilos of fresh flowers.